I've been doing a lot of reading about plagues and pandemics through the ages. At this point, I think I know more about them than Dr. Fauci. But I know them specifically from a Jewish perspective. But I've seen certain general patterns as well. One, it's interesting, you know who pandemics have been good for? They've been good for women. Women were better off after the pandemics. In the 1300s, the Black Plague, so many men were killed that suddenly women became important in their community, and women took on trades. That's when women learned how to weave, and they opened breweries, and it opened a whole new perspective on women for their generation and generations to come. Little over 100 years, the Spanish flu. There again, there was so much destruction and so many men were killed through the war that took place. After that is when women here in America got their vote. So who knows what will happen in the future in regard to women and the pandemic. We Jews didn't wait for the future. The role of women in our Jewish community has expanded beyond anything we could have imagined just 20, 25 years ago. The 21st century, I believe, will be remembered for the positive contribution women have been making to Jewish learning, to the intellectual growth of Judaism, something that was unheard of before. There are so many women who are becoming scholars and rabbis and lecturers and historians. And one of the better known ones is a woman named Sivan Rachav Meir. I have her book here. And she is so contemporary that her book, the cover, is the picture of a smartphone, because she combines the wisdom of both Judaism and contemporary understanding. And she has an interesting point on this week's Torah portion, which speaks to the day in which we're living. The Torah portion this week is that of Devarim. Devarim is the Torah portion that is chanted every year on the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av. In fact, the Haftorah from this week's portion is a vision of Yeshayahu, which has within it the word chazon, the vision, and gives this Shabbos before Tisha B'Av the special title of Shabbos Chazon. Sivan Rachav Meir points out, and it's been pointed out before, that the Torah portion, the Haftorah, and Tisha B'Av have one word in common. The word is Eicha. How? How did this come about? We find it in the Torah portion. We find it Yeshayahu saying, how did this come about in the Haftorah? And the first words in the book of Lamentations of Eicha that we read Tisha B'Av night is Eicha. How did this come about? Well, according to Sivan Meir Rachav, it started with the Eicha from our Torah portion, where we find Moshe going back over the history of his leadership of the Jewish people, bemoaning the trials that he went through, and he says, Eicha esol avadi, how can I bear your trouble, your burden, and your strife all by myself? What was the strife that Moshe went through from the Jewish people? So Sivan Rachav Meir quotes Rashi, who tells us, there were heretics amongst the people. If Moshe was early leaving his tent, they would say, why does the son of Amram leave so early? Perhaps he is not at ease inside his house. If he left late, they would say, why does the son of Amram not leave? What do you think? He is sitting and devising evil schemes against you and formulating plots against you. You see, Moshe was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. Because the Jewish people lost trust in him. And Yeshayahu is saying that's what happened at the destruction of the temple and afterwards. And Eicha is telling us, how did such a situation happen? That the leader of the Jewish people lost the trust and faith of his followers. Only destruction can come from that. We have to think about that today. This coronavirus has created many issues and many problems. In some countries, the leader of the country has gained the trust of his people. But there's two countries where the leader has lost the trust of the people. Here in the United States, 2/3 say they don't have trust in the president when it comes to the coronavirus. And the other country, the state of Israel. People have lost faith in Netanyahu because the virus seems to have kicked up again. There's a big problem when we don't have faith and trust. The big problem is going to come when we have a vaccine and people won't have trust in the authorities and will refuse to take it, affecting all of us. There was an article I read in the newspaper, in the New York Times, where it says mistrust of a coronavirus vaccine could imperil widespread immunity. And it quotes one person, a teacher, who says, "The bottom line is I have absolutely no faith in the FDA and in the Trump administration." So you don't trust the politicians and you don't trust the doctors and the scientists. So who do you trust? We ought to give ourselves some time to think about that. We have to have faith and trust. Otherwise, not only will the virus keep kicking up, but whatever it is that is dividing our country will keep getting worse and worse and more sore for all of us. Shabbat Shalom.